Today I decided to look at myself in the mirror. No makeup, no distorted perceptions, no fantasies, just me. As tears begin to flow swiftly like the Nile River, I studied every pimple, every blemish, every wrinkle, every trace of femininity. This experience was new to me since I was used to viewing flesh, so viewing my soul was overwhelming. Then a sweet voice whispered to me, "From your womb 1,000 nations are born. A gift to mankind, your energy has the ability to heal the blind. You are the descendant of powerful queens that obtain victory from every battle only to then resurrect their enemies. Understand, royalty was inherited when you were in your mother's womb. So stop being afraid. Take your position and step out on your mission until no child is hungry for life. And plant your seeds only in fertile soil, allowing the Most High to be your shield and the ancestors to be your sword. Stand, queen, stand." And in an instant, I released all fears, inhibitions, worries, and doubts. I was one with the universe, and the universe was one with me. Finally, I reached divinity.
Let us know who you are as a person, as an artist, as one striving to be a spiritual being. Let us know who you perceive yourself to be.
Wow, that's such a broad question.
That's why it's a good question.
I love it though.
For 10 minutes.
I like to say I'm just jazz. You know, I'm a teacher, but I'm a student. Depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing, I'm somebody that wants to uplift people, period. Yeah. You know, I love my people, African people, but I extend myself to all people who need help. I just want to be a voice and be a vessel and encourage people to tell the truth. Yeah. Like, we got a lot of people walking around with masks on and trying to fit in, trying to be part of what's accepted in this society, but that's not the way you have to go.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm a rebel.
All right, let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
You refer to yourself as an African. I don't know, man. Somewhere along the way, we as a community forgot that we are African. Even that may not even be the word. I mean, technically, it's not the word. Something that goes back way further than just that word in itself. But in forgetting just that alone, we've disconnected ourselves from like just the history of civilization, right? In your opinion, how can we begin to reclaim that lost history? And how did you do it personally? Get to the point where you can say, I am an African, something beyond just a slave, an American, a nigger, a Negro, black, whatever. How can we get to that point, and how did you come to that point?
I took risk. You know? I took risk and I stepped outside of the box. And that's different for different people, but when you step outside of the box, like, the truth comes to you. When you're in the box, you're just following the standards. You're following the norm. So it's very confined and very restricted. But in order for me to find Jasmine, I had to step outside of those limits. And was it scary sometimes? Hell yeah. But all of these teachers and all of these wonderful experiences started coming to me. So I think that's the first step, just making the conscious decision to step out of what is perceived to be the norm.
So consequences.
Absolutely, it's consequences. I'm not gonna lie, I've been broke. I've been confused. You know, I've been depressed because when you're stepping outside of the box, it's like a mental thing. It's like a mind control, right? So you're thinking sometimes there's something wrong with you. Why do you feel so different? What's going on? But it's just you becoming who you're supposed to be. But you got to break those chains, and that's not easy mentally, spiritually, and physically. That's not an easy process. So yeah, it's consequences.
All right. You just spoke on a few heavy topics and issues that come along with being an individual and claiming your own personal identity. And you have a book out right now that kind of touches on some of those notions you just spoke on. Can you explain that process and, I don't know, the time span, the inspiration, everything that went into that book? I don't know, for a young writer that's maybe listening, can you give them some insight into that experience?
For sure. I was sitting in the grocery store parking lot, and I heard a voice in my head that said, pull out a piece of paper and start writing. Kid you not. So I did just that. I was like, oh, I'm not ready yet. So I put it away for like a year. And then actually when I moved here to Chicago, I just started typing on my laptop. And it became a book. You know, and it was a cathartic experience. Like, it was me looking in the mirror. So for, say, about a year, I closed my computer and stayed away from it. But my motivation was that I knew that I survived all of those experiences that I talk about in my book to encourage somebody else to write their book or to not commit suicide. You know what I'm saying? So that was my motivation.
Okay, now how are you getting this message to maybe a young woman who's in a position you were in, 10 years ago, a year ago, whatever time span? I don't know, actively, how are you getting the message that you have out?
I'm meeting people where they are. So I speak at schools, speak at shelters. I just came back from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is where I'm from, and I went to a restaurant in the country and did open mic and talked about the book. So I'm meeting people where they are. I don't want to be too Hollywood. I want to keep it real. So wherever I'm needed, that's where I go. I go to the jailhouse. Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
To Chicago.
Yes.
How is Chicago receiving you?
Pretty good. I have a lot of support here. My creative family is beautiful. So it's been a wonderful experience so far.
So what are the differences, man? You went to school, you're from the South. I went to school in the South. I kind of saw it. But Huntsville was, I don't know, everyone was from somewhere else. So you didn't really get a real understanding of what the South is. What is that difference? Because I know growing up, man, people kind of look down on the South. You guys lost the war. It's like the Old Testament, what is it like? What is it like growing up in the South, man, beyond just the stories of Martin Luther King, bus boycotts? And hold on, matter of fact, before we go on, I was at a friend's house the other day, and a discussion came up. Blacks in the North have more of a revolutionary spirit and are more aggressive in confronting, whatever type of stratification, hatred, whatever that may be. Whereas this individual said individuals in the South are passive and allow this, that, and the third to continue to happen to them. And he even brought up Gina 6 and the response, or what he perceived to be a lack of a response from the South. And he totally blasted Southerners. He was kind of drunk, mind you. But I don't know. I said, man, I don't believe that. Like, our foundation is in the South. Like, when did they lose that? If anything, we in the North, I don't know, man, we're good Democrats. We like the government establishment. We continuously supporting the system. I don't know. Speak to that, man. You help me out.
You know what? I will say what a big difference is. First of all, Chicago brought me out of my shell. I think the difference is in the South, it's more laid back. You know what I mean? More hush-hush. And here, everybody is very active. There's a very creative, powerful spirit here. Not to say that that's not happening in the South, but it's just more, they take it down a notch, So I think that's what the primary difference is. Because I know some powerful revolutionaries in Nashville, Tennessee. You just don't hear about them as much. I think it's more boisterous here, So I would say that's what the difference is. But Chicago definitely brought me out of my shell and taught me to speak up more. Another thing in the South is that, this is just my personal opinion, you still have a lot of people who feel the need to conform. And I'd say that doesn't happen here in Chicago, but it's just a very different vibe there. It's more laid back, more quiet, more peaceful, in my words.
Okay. So look, let's go back. I want to go back to when you maybe first began writing. I don't know, I heard you recite a couple weeks ago. It was great, by the way.
Thanks.
I don't know, what was that foundation like? I don't know, some of your influences, maybe even your family. How did they contribute to your incubation as an artist?
You know what? I would throw myself in this lake right now if I didn't mention my grandmother. My grandmother, I always called her a prophet. She's just a very powerful woman. Like, she can look at a person and tell you everything about that person. So I used to write poems for her when I was like 7, 8 years old. And I never will forget. She looked at me one day and she said, "You're going to be a famous writer." And then I'm like, "Yeah, okay, Granny." But no, she was feeding my spirit, So definitely she's the number one influence. And then just the women in my family. Like, I come from a line of women who are warriors that have been through it all, but they never told their story.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to be the one to change that up a little bit. Let's get the truth out there and heal from it. So definitely the women in my family.
So look, okay, the women in your family, the women in your neighborhood, black women, women in the U.S., women period, right? Where are you guys at? You know, we're kind of in a post-Eurocentric feminism, maybe even like within some stages of a new black feminism. I don't know, can you speak to just the state of the woman and how vital it is to sustain her or continue that growth?
Oh, wow. I think that it's what's missing. You know, I really feel like that's what's missing, that nurturing, feminine, healing type of energy. It's necessary to have balance. You know, we live in a society that's male-dominated, but the woman's influence would bring balance to it all, I believe. So a lot of the times we're shunned out. You know, I heard a brother say at one of the African bookstores, he said, well, there's just not any conscious women. I don't see them. They don't exist.
Do you want to name names?
I won't name his name.
Names.
I don't want to put the brother out there like that. But what I said to him is maybe that's the type of woman that you're attracting into your life. You know, we're here, but I think a lot of the times we don't get our recognition because sometimes women aren't as boisterous, right? Sometimes we behind the scenes working stuff out, which is naturally who the woman was. The man was the one out in the forefront, and the woman was the one. She's still there working it out. You know, so
how can we I don't know, make sure not our women, but our young girls, you know, who we can still reach and mold. How can we make sure that they are living a life that kind of exemplifies what you just spoke on?
We have to be the models. We have to be the examples in what we do, what we say, even when we're behind closed doors. Our babies are still feeding off of that energy. So if I don't carry myself as a respectful, queen-like type of woman, a young girl is going to see that and think that it's okay. You know, so I just say we have to lead by example. And not just when we're on the scene, in the public. I mean, in everything that we do. How we speak, how we eat, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves is necessary.
All right, we spoke on sisters, the young queens, the princesses, a little bit. But I don't know, I'm a guy. And I see a few of us, a lot, not more than a few, that's not fair to say, that are trying to uplift and do something positive. And kind of live a life, it's kind of righteous. Some you die, you want to be remembered for some of your actions, but with a purpose, right? How do you perceive, you're a woman, so you're on the outside looking at us. I don't know, what's the state of the young men, the brothers? Oh, I don't know, y'all. She just made a face.
No,
she just made a
I'm
face.
thinking. That's my thinking face.
Okay.
I believe that the lack of feminine energy is definitely, we have consequences from that. I think that's what we're seeing. A lot of aggression, a lot of disrespect towards women, a lot of women disrespecting themselves. I love men. You know, I do. I respect the energy of a good man. I think it's necessary. But somewhere the significance of the woman's role in a man's life got lost. Not just the girlfriend, but I'm talking about the mother, the sister. I think somewhere they got lost.
But we so often talk about how my mom's strong and then our women are strong and so many of our families are headed by women.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how did that take place?
But then you think the house is headed by the woman. Yeah. She then has to take on being the man too. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So you never have that balance. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. Coming from the women, I had to learn how to be a woman. I'm still learning how to be a woman because I used to go hard. Wow. But that was all that I knew from the women that I saw. Like, they were the ones paying the bills, you know, doing everything, being Superwoman and Superman. So there was never that balance, and I think that's the issue.
Okay. Is it a slave mentality? Are we dealing with remnants of slavery? Is this what it is?
Absolutely.
All right, then. What would you say to a person that says, it's 2012, You know, how long are you guys going to suffer from this mentality? How long are you going to use slavery as an excuse, they would say? You know, not to mention the Jews or other cultures who suffered atrocities somewhat to a lesser degree. But what would you say to that individual who says, get over it today and move on?
It's not that simple. I mean, we're talking about DNA. We're talking about trauma that is in our DNA. So it's not that simple to just get up and say, I'm going to brush my shoulders off, you know, and keep moving forward. Like, mental enslavement, to me, is the worst type of slavery. That goes on for generations and generations and generations. So it takes that one person, like you and other creative people, other enlightened people, to step up and say, hey, something ain't right, you know? But sometimes it takes a while, and it's a process.
So is it even necessary to address those individuals who would tell you to let's get over it and move? All right, for instance, you know, I was at a forum, hip-hop forum, kind of speaking on something that's been spoken on for years now, just how destructive the radio is and corporations behind the scenes in the industry. And there were two schools of thought in the room. Okay, there was the school of thought that says, all right, we have to go to the radio stations, the record industry, I don't know, distributors, the executives, and pretty much demand them to stop playing these types of things on the radio and promote more of a conscious scene. And then there was a school of thought that says, why expect your oppressor, your enemy, someone you say you're at war with, why would you even expect them to give a damn and relieve that burden? So in that opinion, that individual says appeal directly to the people and forget the executive side, the big business side of all the entire issue. So with that said, how can we appeal to the people and kind of move past the naysayers and those individuals who want to be critics of our history that exists outside of the community?
We have to strengthen our sense of community. We have to strengthen our sense of community, because I can tell Waka Flocka or Soulja Boy, don't live that type of life. Yeah. Don't do that. Let me break it down to you. But then they're going to say, what's my alternatives? You know what I'm saying? And I think right now we're lacking alternatives because we don't come together enough. We don't support each other enough. You know, we have to be righteous and treat each other righteously and build our own communities. We can do it. Like, we built this world.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. But so many people, I don't know, man, so many people, so many black people, you know, you get to a point in life where you may amount some success, you know, gain some accomplishments, some achievements, and then you have to make a choice. Or at least they think they have to make a choice. I can either be the king of the black world, or I can go be, you know, just mediocre in the white world. And a lot of our people chose that mediocrity, the so-called talented 10th or whatnot, those individuals who stood next to King and all these individuals, kind of post that civil rights movement. They chose to leave the top ranks of the black community and live a life of mediocrity in the lower ranks of the white society. And we lost that business element. We lost the religious element. They kind of sold out to capitalism in a sense. Not to use the word sold out, but maybe they did. So, you know, I don't know. It's perception, I think. But how do we keep those individuals who may have the knowledge, the resources, the ambition to bring that back to the community and develop that community and have everyone identify with a central identity?
It goes back to spiritual awareness and mental awareness. You know what I mean? You can take somebody who so-called has a perception of what it means to be black and successful in America, but who's defining that? You know, like, we have to really sit down and talk about who's defining who we are as a people. Who's defining what it takes for us to be successful? Who's defining what it takes for us to be African? You know what I'm saying? Like, who are coming up with all of these labels? I think that's the first step. Because you can have all the consciousness in the world, but if you're still dancing to somebody else's drum, then how alert and how aware are you? You know? And I think that comes from pressure a lot of the times. I know it's not easy being in that seat where people are looking to you to lead a community or to enlighten and awaken other people. I know it's not easy because whenever the truth comes, opposition comes, right? So you got people on your back. But at the end of the day, I want to die fighting. And I want to die being true to myself. And we need leaders to stand up. And we had that. You know, we need more of that.
Okay. All right. There's another school of thought, right? Some say stand up against big business corporations. There's those who say go into the community and develop the community. Then there's a third school of thought who says fuck all that. Let's get out. Gotta get out. You know, get out. Totally, though, and the entire Exodus story. You know, God say, let my people go. He meant it. You know, and to stand here and fight this battle was kind of a distraction as it relates to a larger war that's been going on since maybe Hannibal, you know, when Rome tried to conquer the globe. You mentioned that you're moving to Brazil really soon. Okay. Can you speak to some of the reasons why you chose to make this decision? I don't know, and where do you see this propelling you in the future as an artist, as an intellectual, as a spiritual person, as a woman, as a human?
For me, moving to Brazil is for me defining who I am as a woman and being more in tune with my identity, my true self. You know, I think in moments of silence, prayer, meditation, you know where you're supposed to be. And I don't know exactly where all the reasons I'm going there, but I know that I have to be there to further define who I am as a person. So my goal is to go there, to strip some more of those labels, to break away from a lot of the colonialism. It's a continuous process. And to come back here and heal and help and give. So that's my purpose. As an artist, I think I'll be able to be more effective because the more in tune I am with self, the more effective I am. And for me, that's what going to Brazil is all about, just being more in tune with Jasmine, with spirit. So that's the purpose.
Now, you also mentioned an ambition to go beyond just Brazil and someday touch the motherland.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, for me, I know that's the objective for me. You know, that is the objective, to not just touch the motherland, but help set up and establish institutions where I can relay that knowledge between Africa, whatever you want to call it, and the United States. You know, and create a bridge where our people can go in between and really have a homeland, a motherland. I don't even care which country on the continent you choose, because in theory, we're from everywhere.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. Can you speak to just the importance of developing those links? John Henry Clarke said it's one thing to be Pan-Africanist and one thing to want to liberate Africa, but if you don't have a plan once it happens, it's all in vain, essentially. So how do you plan on establishing those links between America's dollar, maybe military strength, and just the resources we in this country have, and relaying that back to the spiritual wealth and the natural wealth of the continent?
You see, one thing that I don't want to do, and it's funny that you asked that question, because I was having a conversation with one of my elders, and he's from Sierra Leone.
Oh, wow.
And he was saying how now you have this movement going on where they're sending a lot of sisters, black women, over to Africa as the middleman to go over there and dictate and tell them how to live. That's what I don't want to do, you know. So my goal is to go to Africa and to be where they are and see what they need, you know, and to continue to help them to build that sense of family and strength, because they already have the strength. Obviously, they survived some of the craziest. Like, we have no clue. You know, what we go through here is really nothing compared to what they've been through in Africa. So my goal is to go there and to let them know, hey, you have people in the Americas that love you and support you and that are praying for you and that are praying for your healing. So my goal is to just go there and be used however I can be used. I wish I could sit here and say I have this plan to do A, B, C, and D, but how can I do that? And I haven't experienced it there yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think that's where we mess up a lot of the times. We go over there, we say we're going to do A, B, C, and D. But we have to relate first. I have to be able to walk in their shoes first and see how they live. And that's my goal.
One of the I don't know, a theme I hear coming from you. And something I think permeates everything about you, maybe, is a sense of spirituality. I don't know, how did you grow into that? How did you foster that? And how did you... See, a lot of people, you know, there's religion and there's spirituality, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid of spirituality because it seems kind of mystic or spooky. It's weird. It's not Jesus right here, right now, today. How do you, as a woman, as a person, as a human, continue to foster that in an independent way and standing in opposition pretty much to the status quo?
Absolutely. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, Bible Belt.
Yeah.
You know, I was a Christian because I was told that's who I had to be.
Right.
And I was sitting in church one day, I kid you not, and I heard a voice say that you don't belong here anymore.
Wow.
So
That's
immediately, I was like, this is the devil. For real. Like, I thought I was possessed. I didn't know what was going on. Right? So then I moved here, and I was like, I'm going to just go with the flow. I'm going to strip myself of everything. And I looked up to the sky, and I said, I surrender. Didn't know who I was surrendering to, but I surrendered, you know. And I started meditating, and through my meditations, like, people just started coming into my life that helped me to develop spiritually. But this is who I always was. We're only spirits having a human experience. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When I die physically, when you leave this world physically, your spirit continues to live on, you know? So for me, it was about figuring out what my destiny is, what my path is as a spirit in this body. What am I supposed to be here doing? You know, and the first step was just surrendering.
So look, okay.
Yeah.
In 75 years, I'll give you 75 more.
Yeah, thanks.
75 more years, and hopefully more than that. Nah, forget 75. We're going to go back. No. First, let's go back. Let's go 45 years first, okay? Where do you see yourself in 45 years old? Because I don't know, rumor has it, if you can visualize it, you can begin to take steps to actually manifest that.
Yeah.
So, 45 years from now, I don't want to ask you how old you are, but you know, where do you see yourself in 45 years? Or 65? You can give me a range.
Go with 45.
Okay, yeah.
In 45 years, I want to be healing people. I want people to be able to come to me and know they're coming to a place where they can be enlightened, they can be taken care of, where their spirits I can be a vessel to help them align themselves spiritually. I want to be sitting on the lake, on the beach, on the island somewhere, you know, just working with people and helping people to connect with aspects of nature, to heal, not with medications, not with alcohol, not with drugs, not with all of that, but just connecting with elements of nature to heal the spirit. That's what I want to be doing.
Okay. Now, is that possible? Can you do that today in America? Can that take place in America, inside the belly of the beast?
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. I look a little different, you know, but it happens all the time. I say through our teachers, through our advocates, through poets, through our writers. It happens all the time. But that's not for me anymore.
So who's going to fill your void? When you leave us and go to Brazil, who are you preparing to take your place? I don't know. Who's going to fill that void? If everyone who understand what's going on say, all right, this isn't for me anymore, and do make the decision to go, move on and learn new things. Bringing it back, I'm sure you're going to continuously, you know, stay in touch with the people, but the physical presence will be missed greatly. So who will fill the void on the ground doing the work here?
As I said, spirit is stronger than anything. Like, this is just flesh, you know? But who I am as a spirit will live forever, no matter what. I can be on the moon, and my spirit will still dwell here, in this very space, you know? And I trust in the seeds that have been planted in me, and I also trust in the seeds that I have planted and how I have to become a better person so that I can be a better teacher, a better healer, a better woman, a better mother, a better wife, you know? So I have to make sacrifices to do that. So me moving to Brazil, it's a little selfishness in there, but there's also some selflessness to be a better person.
Okay.
Yeah.
We spoke on how you perceive yourself in 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
How do you perceive our community? Whatever that may be, whatever our community is to you, where do you see it in 45 years or so?
I have so much hope for our community. I believe that what you speak manifests. So I see our community being healed and healthy and in tune with spirit, aware of who we are. We are powerful, you know, and I see that. I see the shift happening already. Like with people, not just African people, but people of color are taking over. So I see that shift happening, and I think with that is going to be a lot of empowerment. So I see us doing wonderful things and continuing the movement that we've been doing for centuries. Yeah.
Now, you spoke to the power and strength of a people, but I think so often people fail to realize the extent of time we suffered, you know, what we have endured and what we've overcome. Like, how great are we to literally overcome the Mayafa, the trip from Africa across the Atlantic to the U.S., to make it here, endure the cotton-picking South, the tobacco-picking South, the rape, the molestations, the murders, the lynchings, any and every atrocity you can imagine, to survive that. For some of us who came to the North, to survive the influx of drugs, the colonialism and the projects, to overcome so much and still to be here today. Like, I don't know, man, even we as a community so often say, man, black people shiesty, Joe. I wouldn't even shop with a black person. Like, we just kind of dismiss ourselves so often. And I think even us, we often forget what we've been through and how strong we are. Like, even if it is just, I don't know, in our DNA, but just physically, we will breed it. Like, you know what I mean? To fit a mold, to be strong. How does that play in understanding, like, really in a tangible way, our strength? How can we convey that message?
Simply by doing what you just did. Speaking the truth, you know? I think that so many times we think that it's other people in authority that are providing for us, that are paying our bills, that are feeding us and taking care of us, and that's not true. That's only an illusion. You know, because we survived without that. We still survive without that, you know? So I think it's just constantly reminding. We know this is not in our history books in school, right? So I think it's going to be teachers being able to step outside of the box, bringing in their own information, bringing in articles, bringing in books, you know? Reaching these babies where they are, reaching them young, and even stepping out in the community. Stand on the corner with a bullhorn. They gonna listen.
Yeah.
You know, you see a sister on the street who you know needs some guidance, who looks like she's hungry and needs something spiritual. I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about spiritually. Sit down and talk to her. All it takes is planting a seed.
Okay.
I know that's how I'm still thriving and moving forward. If it wasn't for the people who spoke to me, even when I thought I didn't understand it, I couldn't be here.
Okay. African history is world history, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So a European person, a Caucasian, Hispanic person, I don't know, whatever else that may be, Native American, whatever else. But on a fundamental level, like, everything started at zero and then move forward from there. How can we begin to get those who may not know they're African to understand that, like, in all honesty and truth, your family lineage, you as a person, you originated in Africa. And I don't know, man, even white people, you are African. Whether you want to admit it or not, you're just further removed than us. But if we can get everyone to understand that that common history belongs to everyone, it kind of takes away from, I don't know, that element of division, you know, those elements of division and that common ground. I don't know, how can we reach those outside of just the status quo of blackness? Should we reach those individuals?
I do think you should reach those individuals because everything started in Africa. A lot of what you see here is just a model of what was African culture and African tradition, like marriage. You know what I mean? Certain foods that we eat. All of that is just a model of what was done in Africa centuries and centuries ago. So it is important. But more so important, you know, I really like to stress that, again, this is just flesh. So where's your spirit at? You know what I mean? You can claim to be African all day. I'm from Africa. I know where I'm from. I know who I am. But where's your spirit at? You know, aside from your skin color, aside from the kinks in your hair, you know, aside from the fullness of your lips. You know what I mean? Where's your spirit at? You know, so I think we need to focus more on knowing where we came from. That's very important. But focusing on the state of where we are spiritually, too. Because I think when you got yourself in order spiritually, the rest follows. But you got to know where you've been to move forward. It's definitely important.
All right.
Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit on where you've been. You've spoken a bit on where you want to go in the future. But can you speak to where you are right now as an artist and maybe some of the things you're working on, projects you're undertaking? Can you speak to where you are right now today?
Yeah, I can. Life has changed a lot. Try to do the workforce thing. And for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. Like every time I get back in it, I get kicked out. So right now I'm just working as an artist. Like being an artist is my job. Promoting my book, doing speaking engagements, collaborating with other artists. That's what I'm doing full time right now. So that's helping me to continue to develop as an artist and to just learn. So I'm doing, but I'm watching too. And that's where I'm at right now.
So as a writer, did you did you self-publish? So how was that process? I don't know, for a lot of individuals who are writers,
yeah.
I don't know, it can be a tedious process, you know, from the actual drafting of a manuscript to the printing of a manuscript to pushing your work. For you, what was that process like, and how is it today in pushing your work and your distribution phase, I guess?
Definitely a learning experience because I was going by the norm at first. I thought I had to have a publisher, somebody to help me to make my money, you know. So I actually had a publisher. And then right before I signed the contract, I was like, wait, something don't feel right. Something does not feel right. So I canceled that, and then I started doing my own homework. And surprisingly enough, people who have self-published before came into my life and taught me what I know. And it's all about being patient and just doing the homework. Do your homework before you get into anything. It's not easy because everything came out of my pocket. You know, everything comes out of your pocket when you self-publish. But it's your vision. It's your path. It's what you want to see happen.
So do you see yourself expanding your publishing ambitions? Maybe taking on new artists, or putting out more books? Where do you see that in the future?
Absolutely. I actually, I published my book through my self-publishing company, Live Beyond Limits Publishing and Press. And I don't want to publish other authors because my goal is to inspire authors to self-publish. So what I do with my company is just provide them with the tools that they need to get started and to keep moving forward. So no, my goal is not to publish, but to encourage people to publish their own work. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Chicago. I want you to speak about the scene. Poetry scene, the spoken word scene, the writing scene. I don't know, what are those characters like? You know, what type of opposition are you facing, or what type of encouragement are you dealing with within those scenes?
It's been nothing but encouragement for me. You know, like down south, like I said before, people are quiet, you know. I know some beasts in Nashville, Tennessee too, but when I moved here, I was like, wow. Like it's just a fearlessness here that has inspired me so much. So I get nothing but love from the creative world, nothing but love and inspiration.
I was in a poetry club, man. You know, A&M, we had good times. And just to be in an environment where everyone like understood the power of the word, and to have so many people that came before us and established PC, and to go out in the world and you can actually see like the wealth and the benefits of that foundation of poetry club. and to have that unit, man, where we all just consider ourselves family. And that's why I kind of asked you about the scene in Chicago regarding the poet side, the spoken word side, the writing side. Because you need a congregation. Like, you know, church is one thing, but church is not confined to just Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever it may be. But church should take place wherever more than one person is gathered. So, with that said, how can we begin to have that church experience with every encounter and everything we do, and share that brotherly love we all want to think exists?
We have to definitely get back in tune with the importance of having a sense of community. You know, we live in a very individualistic society where you want to be the independent woman, and, you know what I'm saying, which is beautiful, but you got to have that balance. You know, we have to come together and not envy each other's gifts, but respect each other's gifts and know that we can learn from each other's gifts. I think that's the importance. Not trying to one up the next man, but working together for something that's greater than ourselves. Yeah.
Once again, you spoke about community. So I'm saying that's the thing. Community, right? Spirituality. But community begins with the family, right? What's going on with our families? What's going on with our families? What's going on with our families? What is going on with our families? And if we don't address that, in theory, we may not be here. You know, if we don't address just the broken homes, just the sickness, mentally, spiritually, physically, that's been plaguing not just black families, white families, Hispanic families, just family in general.
Yeah.
What's the state of the family in 2012?
I hurt. You know, I hurt to see where the state of the family is right now. I don't know a lot of women or a lot of men who are married or working towards marriage or divine partnership. I think now everybody is just trying to survive. And when you survive, you go into self-preservation mode. You know what I mean? Where it's me first. And that totally strays away from the purpose of having a community or a family. So I think, again, in this individualistic society, you have a lot of egos that need to be fed, a lot of insecurities that need to be fed. And I think everybody's just focused on me. What can I do to pleasure myself or have temporary satisfaction? And I think that's across the board, not just with black people. I think that's across the board because it's not just the black family that's suffering anymore.
This state of suffering we're in, right? Could there be a function to it? I don't know. Could it be necessary right now? I don't know. Could it be like a natural response to something? I don't know. Some norm or something that exists, and all of this is just us trying to shake it. I don't know. Shake something off of us. Could it be natural?
Absolutely.
So what could it be? What is going wrong? Whether it be in the family structure, the marriage structure, Western civilization, maybe. What is it that we're rejecting? In your opinion, of course.
I think that we're rejecting our true selves. I think, my opinion, you have a lot of people walking around that don't know who their true selves are. So if I don't know me, and I don't love my true self, how can I love another person? And I think that's where the war is right now. You have everything. You have billboards, you have videos, you have everything on TV and around, not just TV, telling you who you should be, what you should look like. This is who you are. This is how you have to act. So you have a bunch of robots walking around, right? So again, how can I love somebody else if I don't know me or love me? So I think that's where a lot of the conflict is coming from.
So step one in my life, it's always knowledge. I don't know, just accumulate just an understanding of who I am first and foremost. Like you said, you're going to Brazil to peel back some layers and find out who you are and to assess the situation, you know, on a global scale, and perhaps bringing it back to the community. But I don't know, man, the school system has failed us, you know, for a long time, and that knowledge of self that we hear so much about in the conscious scene, I don't know, it's not happening. You know, we totally lack that knowledge of self. Maybe it is intentional. Maybe I don't know. A woman told me, like, just to know that your people went through slavery and was beat down so much is really depressing. Like, it's a really, really depressing concept. A lot of people would just rather forget and just deal with today and move forward and forget it ever happened. But how can we, I don't know, dig out the best of it? You know, the power. Even, you know, like on a plantation, yeah, it was messed up. We went through a lot. But we developed something like a culture, right? And we kept alive a lot of traditions, although they were bastardized in a lot of ways and continue to be bastardized. But we created something for ourselves. How can we maintain those things we created as a product of slavery? A lot of people reject it, you know, whether it be the concept of soul food, Christianity, you know, kind of a post-slavery Christianity concept, and so many other things that's come along with. How can we take the best of that horrible situation and keep it as we reject the negatives that came as a product of our collision with Western society?
Simply put, like, we're still here. All of that should have taken our ancestors out, you know? So for the simple fact that we are here actually having this discussion and seeing that there's a flip side to everything, like, that's it. What I take from slavery is, yeah, there was the trauma, but there was also perseverance. There was also a sense of community. There was also a trust in a greater being, you know, whoever it was for them. And they saw that one day we would be able to sit here and have this conversation. Like, if that's not a reason to stay motivated and to keep moving forward, like, I don't know what is. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of our ancestors wanted to give up, but they knew that they couldn't give up so that we could be here.
Again, we're sitting down with Miss Jasmine D. Cain. And I want you to let us know how we can find out more information about you, some of the things you're working on, any future endeavors, website maybe.
Yeah.
Anything you want the people to know.
For sure. You can find me at www.jasmined, as in darling, Cain, CAIN.com. It's www.jasmindcain.com. I'm also on Facebook. You can like my author page, Author Jasmine D. Cain. And right now I'm just traveling and doing book signings and poetry sets and speaking to the masses and doing a lot of listening. So I'm around.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we were fortunate to sit down with Ms. Jasmine D. Cain. This is the new Cypher, the place where artists congregate and evoke thought. We're building our cornerstone through artistic expression. And again, I want to thank you. She's beautiful, by the way.
You are too.
Thank you. And we're looking forward to seeing, you know, where you go and how you evolve and how you continue to give back to the community and inspire. You know, I saw her perform. She's very inspiring. And don't let her silent demeanor, because I saw you come in and you sat back in the open mic. And she got on the mic and killed it, y'all. She even said some curse words.
I did. Don't tell my granny.
Words too.
Don't tell my granny.
But we want to thank you for sharing not just your word, but your spirit with us. And it was great. I know I learned something today. So I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing who you become in the future.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.